The night of the mating ritual burned with an energy that could be felt in the bones of every creature in the valley. The moon hung full and unyielding, its silver glow spilling across the mountain peaks and down into the forest clearing where the packs had gathered. The air was thick with pheromones, heartbeats pounding, whispers weaving into the ancient chants of the elders. This was the night of choice, of destiny. The night when alphas would claim their mates and omegas would either rise into power or be discarded to live as shadows. Among them, kneeling at the farthest edge of the gathering, was Kale. The blind omega, the one they called the broken one. His sightless eyes reflected the pale glow of the moon, but they saw nothing. His ears, however, caught every sound, the rush of wind in the trees, the shifting feet of impatient wolves, the low growls of eager alphas waiting to choose. His heart hammered, not with anticipation but with dread. He already knew what this night would bring. He had been rejected once, twice, no, too many times to count. Kale was not new to humiliation. He was born into it. Blind since birth, he was a burden to his pack, a stain on the pride of his bloodline. While other omegas were trained in grace, beauty, and the seductive arts that would draw alphas to them, Kale had been left to stumble in darkness, to bruise his knees on the stones of training grounds, to feel the sting of laughter slicing deeper than any blade. His body was lean, too thin by the standards of desirable omegas, and his scars, both visible and invisible, marked him as a castaway even before the ritual began. Tonight would be no different. Or so he thought. The drums thundered as the elders raised their hands. One by one, the alphas stepped forward, each towering in strength, each emanating the raw dominance of their bloodlines. And then came silence, the kind of silence that stretched so tight it threatened to snap. Every voice fell, every head lowered, the ground itself seemed to tremble. The Alpha King had arrived. Dorian. The name alone could make wolves tremble. His reign was carved in blood and loyalty, a rule that no one dared defy. He was the embodiment of power, tall, broad, a presence that devoured all light around him. His aura rolled like a storm, suffocating in its intensity, yet magnetic in its command. He was the wolf who took what he wanted, who bent the world to his will, who had never bowed, never begged, never been denied. Kale felt him before he even heard him. The air shifted, thickened. His chest constricted as though invisible chains wrapped around his lungs. And then, unthinkably, disastrously, his foot caught on the uneven stone beneath him. His body pitched forward, his hands reached blindly into the void, clawing for stability, for anything to stop his fall. But instead of cold earth, he fell into the furnace of living fire. Arms, strong, unyielding, and scent, rich, overwhelming, like smoke and cedar and danger wrapped in skin. Kale's breath hitched as the world stilled around him. The blind Omega had stumbled into the arms of the Alpha King. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Whispers sharpened like blades. How dare he? How could fate allow this disgrace? Kale's lips parted in panic. I'm sorry. Forgive me. His voice trembled, the words spilling like fragile glass shattering against stone. He pushed against the chest that held him, desperate to retreat, to sink back into obscurity. But the arms didn't release him. Instead, they tightened. Dorian's growl vibrated through Kale's bones, deep and primal, a sound that spoke not of anger but of possession. Mine. The word was thunder. The ritual was broken. Every eye widened. Every elder froze. Kale's knees buckled. Surely he misheard. Surely the Alpha King had not spoken the forbidden word. But the hand gripping his waist said otherwise. The heat pressing into his skin said otherwise. Kale shook his head. No, I'm nothing. Please, you don't want me. Silence. Dorian's command sliced through his protests. You dare deny your king. Kale's lips sealed shut. His body trembled, caught between terror and something far more dangerous, something like hope. The rest of the ritual dissolved into chaos. Alphas snarled in outrage. Elders whispered of omens and curses. The pack murmured of blasphemy. But none dared challenge the Alpha King. Not when his claim was absolute. And so, against every expectation, against every cruel prophecy written in his scars, Kale was taken from the shadows and thrust into the blazing heart of power. The days that followed were a storm Kale could barely endure. The palace of the Alpha King was no place for the fragile. Its walls breathed intimidation, its halls echoed with authority. Guards watched him with suspicion, courtiers sneered behind their masks, and every Omega in the court whispered venom about the blind fool who dared steal the king's attention. Kale wanted to disappear. He begged the gods for invisibility. But Dorian would not let him. The king demanded his presence at meals, at councils, at ceremonies. He held him close in public, his hand heavy on Kale's shoulder or waist, as though daring anyone to question his choice. When Kale flinched, when he whispered apologies, Dorian silenced him with a growl or, worse, a gentle touch that burned hotter than any flame. Kale couldn't understand it. Why him? Why the broken one? Why the blind one when so many perfect Omegas offered themselves willingly? He asked once, timidly, foolishly, and the Alpha King's response left him speechless. Because the moment you fell into my arms, I knew you were mine. You were made for me. And I will burn the world before I let it take you away. Kale wanted to believe. Gods, how he wanted to. But shadows clung to him, doubts whispering cruel reminders of rejection, of laughter, of abandonment. He had lived too long in the cold to step fully into the fire without fear. And yet, slowly, the fire thawed him. Dorian was ruthless, yes, but not with him. With Kale, his touch softened, his voice lowered, his temper restrained. He guided him through the palace halls, describing every detail so Kale could see through words what his eyes never could. He taught him to listen not with fear but with pride, to use his heightened senses as strength. He placed Kale beside him in court, demanding he speak his thoughts, valuing his counsel even when Kale's voice shook. Bit by bit, Kale transformed. From the rejected Omega who cowered in shadows, he grew into something else. Someone else. A consort, a mate, a power in his own right. But fate, ever cruel, was not finished testing him. For enemies lurked, both within the court and beyond the borders. Alphas who despised Dorian's choice conspired in silence. Elders whispered of prophecies that warned against a blind mate. And rival packs sharpened their claws, eager to strike at the weakness they believed Kale represented. When betrayal finally came, it came not in darkness but in fire. Here the story continues, deepening their bond while testing Kale's resilience and Dorian's devotion. The palace intrigue, assassination attempts, Kale's hidden strength, and the eventual revelation that his blindness connects to a prophecy of a seer's bloodline, all unfold over the next 3/4 of the script. Kale learns to embrace his power, saves Dorian in battle using his heightened senses, and ultimately silences all who doubted him. The story crescendos with Kale being crowned as the Alpha King's true mate, no longer rejected but revered.